There we go. Okay, so this next talk is by Alessandra Esposito, who is a research software project manager at KDL, King's Digital Lab. And this is a talk about how RSEs can be human digital research infrastructure and how we can elevate the quality of scientific outputs in the digital humanities and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Is the mic working? Brilliant. Thank you. So, well, first of all, thank you for sticking around now. And as you can see, yes, I'm here to talk about building robust practices for research output. I am currently the research software project manager at the King's Digital Lab, and very nicely, Paul Caton has introduced everything about the King's Digital Lab as the first speaker. But for those of you who might have joined a little bit later, I would just say that we are based at King's College London, and particularly within the Faculty of Arts and Humanities. And this is really the research domain that we engage the most with. However, our partners are not only based in the Faculty of Arts and Humanities, but they can be very much external as well. Right, so this is really just a roadmap to give you an idea of what we're going to talk about. So we'll start by looking at why quality assessment in digital output matters. I'll then introduce two key tools, which are really two documents. The first one is called the KDL checklist document for digital output assessment, and the second one is the project release document. I will then explain how these two tools work together and reflect on how they contribute to ensure quality in a digital research output. And finally, I share some lesson learns and takeaways. Right, let's start by looking with why quality assessment in digital output matters. As more research outputs take digital formats, so software, dataset, and digital edition, there is a growing need to ensure that these meet both domain research criteria and digital standards, of course. So this trend is institutionally recognized in the REF, which is the UK Research Evaluation Framework. Could I ask if everybody is familiar with REF? If you could give me a show of hands, do you know what the REF is? Most of you. So the REF really is an exercise that runs every 7 years or so on behalf of the UK higher education funding bodies, and they assess the research output of UK universities, and based on that ranking, they, among other things, they disperse research funding. So it's very important, of course, the ranking for institutions and for those research output to be assessed properly. Now, REF criteria include things like originality, significance, and evaluating this criteria isn't always straightforward. So, for example, what does originality mean when we talk about a data set? And so enter the dual role of the RSC there. So KDL, I should say, we see definitely research software engineers, not just as coders and developers, of course, but as key research actors. And they help, of course, shape the scholarly design research project by their digital output and ensure they are not only functional, but also reproducible, maintainable, and robust. And in this model, the RSCs are both human digital infrastructure and enablers word leading, to use one of the REF terminology, word leading research. Introducing then now the two documents. So how do we ensure that this expertise is embedded and can be assessed in the digital outputs? And these are two tools, as I was saying, two documents that we have developed at KDL, the checklist and the project for this document. So we start from the checklist. You will be able to click on the link from the slides. So the checklist for digital output assessment is aimed at academics, mostly preparing the digital outputs for REF submission. And it is a practical self-assessment guide which prompts reflection, among other things, on authorships, licensing, documentation, and sustainability. And it's intentionally designed as a lightweight and flexible tool, and it really helps researchers to articulate how their digital work meets the REF criteria. There are 12 assessment criteria overall. I'm not going to go through all of them, which is just to give you an idea, more or less. So things about editorial context, licensing, technical robustness, and so on. And the idea is to kind of have people think about these criteria in a very direct way. So you will find questions like the one that I put in the slide. So are the scholarly intent and scope clear? Who owns the work? So we're talking about licensing, who owns the work? How can it be reused? Are documentation versioning in place? Usability, how does it meet user experience standards? Sustainability, will the project be usable in 5 years, and so on. For the other tools, so the project release document, this has been more recently developed by KDL. Actually, something that I didn't mention about the first one, the checklist. This one was already created by Rana, which is one of the authors of this presentation, for the previous ref exercise. And this has since been updated. So the version that you will find here is very much recent. The second document, the project release document, is brand new, again, very recently developed at KDL, and this is used more as an internal tool, really, for everybody in the team. As Paul already introduced, developers, we have analysts, we have designers, and this is used before a project is released. Ensures really that all technical and design elements are complete. So from bug fixes, mobile usability, licensing, accessibility, compliance, and in a way, it helps us standardize our standards across all projects. Ooh, and now how do they complement each other very quickly? So they are distinct, as I said, but they do work together. So while the checklist is outward facing, it's meant to use by researchers to prepare outputs, the PRD, so the other document is inward facing, but when they are properly embedded in the project lifecycle and in practice, they contribute to ensuring that that quality, both from the research domain perspective and the RSC perspective. But more of that, they don't only assess the quality, they actually promote good practice. So because they make the standard explicit and very, very clear, they support things like better reproducibility, clearer documentation, robust infrastructure, and they highlight that holistic research strength that is embedded in the release of a digital output. On the one hand, they contrast to raise the profile of RSCs as strategic partners in research and not just service provider. And this is really, I guess, at a time where there is a momentous uptick of interest in digital tools applied to various disciplines. They provide that structure to promote that shift in higher education. So very, very briefly, I'll cover the lessons learned and challenges. So, of course, there are challenges. Many research teams aren't familiar with frameworks for evaluating digital outputs. It takes time to socialize this tool both inside and beyond the lab. And the key really is team investment in time and energy to use and review these tools internally and externally, promote that shoulder-to-shoulder collaboration with the institution. In our case, for our faculty, pushing for the involvement of RSCs in the research design phase as early as possible, as we mentioned earlier, has worked very well, and also involving not only the researcher, but also the research development managers into understanding that process. It's been very helpful. Of course, each of these tools had their own set of challenges, which I'm not going to go into detail now, but I know that the slides will be circulated. And just some takeaways, just to sum up really at this point then. So quality in digital outputs is not just about functionality, it's not just that something works. But it is about that integration with the research domain and the RSC's good practices. So the checklist for digital outputs helps team align their digital outputs with REF and the PRD ensure that these outputs are ready for release. But more importantly, at the core of this discussion is treating RSCs as human digital infrastructure, enabling stronger and more sustainable digital scholarship. I've seen your sign. Are we going? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very, very much, Alessandra. Okay, to the Slido. And I've seen some questions come in. Okay, so how can you assess technical robustness of digital output without bias? Software developed if SDTs don't perform code reviews.
This is from before, I think.
Harkens back, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the tools that we developed, as I said, quite recently, these checklists came as a result of, I guess, of this feeling that we have that we're lacking in the review. And again, this is something that we have just started. It just, I think, in the past quarter or so, has passed all our reviews, and we have trialed it on a couple of projects. So I guess it's us moving in that direction where we want to assess the technical robustness. So yeah, I guess this is just one of the ways that we're trying to do it.
Okay. Next question is, do you usually archive a static version of databases behind web apps? If so, what is your preferred format?
I'm not too sure about that, I'm afraid, as I am not one of the developers in the team. So I don't know whether Paul or Ariana are happy to take this question. Otherwise,
we can just move to the next one if you prefer.
Next one.
We are moving away from using databases and more towards using static websites themselves. Is the short
answer.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, you discussed how RSCs individually have a dual role. Could you also comment on how your RSC group at KDL balances the roles of academic research collaborator and research support service?
Yes, so we have actually at KDL we have a way to, let's say, be included in project proposal. So there is a track, let's say, to be included in project proposal as co-I. So where there is that element of working towards the project research questions, there is an opportunity for our members to be costed and consider co-I on a project. So I think it's a bit of a privileged position, maybe compared to other teams where we have only that service provider function. But I understand from conversation that you do have a project partner that is, sometimes difficult to manage that expectation beyond the support service. And get them more to understand, the collaboration aspect of it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Alessandra. And yeah, round of applause.